Great. I have you now.
Thank you so very much, everybody. Thank you so much, the Nigerian Canadian Association in British Columbia. Thank you so much, Mr. President, Mr. Brown. Thank you, Mr. Joe. Thank you, His Excellency, our ambassador to Canada. Thank you, all the panelists and everybody for honoring me and giving me the opportunity to be the keynote speaker. Now, Nigeria is so precious to me. I own everything to Nigeria. As bad as our country is, I want to tell you my little story. I grew up in a state that is very close to Lagos, and Lagos is supposed to be the most civilized city in our country. So I grew up 2 hours from Lagos in Ijebu-Ode. Maybe 5 minutes drive, 5 minutes walk or drive from Ijebu-Ode. It's a village called Idomila. And but my father is from Ijebu-Ode, my mother is from Idomila. I grew up there, but you know, I didn't wear shoes till I was 12. I didn't get to know my father. I went to school only thanks to the free education policy that was introduced first by Chief Obafemi Awolowo and then this federal government. And somebody like that grew up in a village of 40, we only have 40 houses, 40 huts, you could say, if you call them houses, 40 huts when I was growing up. Less than 200 people who lived there. And somebody like that, growing from that village, could win a scholar. I went to a very local school. I went to a neighboring village for my primary school, Ilese. Then by the time I finished primary school in my village, they already started a little community school. We were the first set. That should be like Gromka. So I was the first set of that school. And so I never saw, before I left Nigeria, I never saw a library. I never saw a library. I didn't know, I knew the understanding of library. When you read, you hear about it, you know the definition, but I never had one. I never saw one. Talk less of a laboratory. I never saw a laboratory. And now I knew what a laboratory was supposed to be like, but I never saw one because we were in such a local place. So even 2 hours from Lagos, we were still very local and backward. But even then, this boy, 19 years old at that time, was able to look at the newspaper advertisements 35 years ago, 1985, 86. In Nigerian newspapers, they used to publish advertisements about scholarships. And if you do well in your WAEC and GCE, you could go and compete and win a Nigerian government scholarship. And that's what I did. I won from the village. Nobody knew me. Even in my town, Ijebu-Ode, nobody knew me, but I was able to win a national scholarship. If not for that scholarship, I'm afraid I might still be in that village and struggling to make a living, to survive. But so, as with all the difficulties that this country is facing today, when I see the challenges of Nigeria, I feel obligated to respond positively, to see what I could do to help keep the potential of this country together instead of tearing it apart. Yes, I'm one of the few privileged or fortunate ones. Not all Nigerian kids and citizens have been privileged to enjoy or to get a scholarship, what I got. Because I got a scholarship, free education, through primary school. I got a scholarship, free education, through secondary school. And I got a scholarship abroad through, federal government, through Nigeria, federal government of Nigeria. So I am personally obliged to this country. Now, later on, I became a pastor and a missionary in a largely white society. In our church, if you come to our church today, you will only see the central church especially. We have a separate church for English speakers where you will see a lot of black people. But if you come to the big church where I am, you only see maybe I and my wife, or maybe another person who are black people there. But how come this minority guy from Nigeria, from a village of 40 huts, is able to build the largest church in this country and the largest church in this continent, I think I owe it to Nigeria. If I had been born outside of Nigeria, the passion that I bring in wouldn't have been there. The energy, the discipline, the thoroughness, and everything that was needed for me to have accomplished what I accomplished here wouldn't have been possible. I owe it to Nigeria. So for me, the question of do we tear Nigeria apart, do we all go our separate ways, or do we try to keep this country together, doesn't even arise. Because in this country, for example, even in our church, if I'm on the pulpit, I'm on the stage, and we have big auditorium, if I see a black figure right in the crowd, even if that person is from Cote d'Ivoire or Burkina Faso, for me, I'm filled with so much joy because we hardly see black people that it's like he's coming from my village. But then when I discover that that person is coming from the northern part of Nigeria or eastern part of Nigeria or southern part of Nigeria, for me it's like he's a family member. When you live outside, sometimes you have an advantage of seeing the world a bit differently. When I was in Nigeria, I had never even had the opportunity to travel to the north or to the east to see other part of Nigeria. For me, Nigeria was defined by my village where I grew up. The first time I went to Lagos was when I was traveling out of the country. And that was the first time I saw a plane as well. So, but still, I recognize the fact that if I had not been born and had not been raised in Nigeria and had not been blessed and benefited by the benevolence of the federal government, where will I be? Now, I want that privilege and that opportunity to be extended to all Nigerian children and all Nigerians. So how do we make that happen? Now, going to your topic, reimagining the path forward, present, past, and future of Nigeria. Well, who probably knew. Nigerian independence lecture. Should Nigeria remain one or be divided? What are the pros and cons for either options? I will just give a snap answer first. Yes, for me, the question doesn't, the question doesn't stand. I mean, the question doesn't even, there is no question in the issue. Nigeria must remain one. Should Nigeria restructure or become a truly federal state? Yeah, if that is what we need, if we need to restructure, let's restructure. But I personally believe, that what Nigeria needs is not physical restructuring, but mental reconstruction. Reconstruction of our values is much more important than physical restructuring. If the people don't change, even though the geography changes and the physical structure change, but if our values don't change, we will still have the same Nigeria or even worse still. So then what's the next question here? What practical means or methods can Nigeria adopt to overcome its present challenges and realize its full potential? That we shall be talking about as we go on. Is there any role for the diaspora in defining the future of Nigeria? I've lived in this country, I've lived in Europe for 35 years. And you know what? Soon you are going to be hearing a lot about me and Nigeria because I want to move back to Nigeria. I only lived in Nigeria for 19 years. So, I'm a Nigerian, but I live here 2 times longer than I've ever lived in Nigeria. But because I was born in Nigeria and the foundation and the key characteristic of who I am, of my being, was formed and impacted to me in Nigeria, I still count myself more as a Nigerian than a European. So personally, I want to move back to Nigeria and not just talk from diaspora. I want to move back. I'm getting ready so that when I go, I will be ready. But I want to move back to Nigeria and I want to encourage as many diaspora people. You don't necessarily need to move back physically, but I think that we need to take our country back. Yeah, anyhow you want to say it. Most of the people who are running the country right now, that country doesn't deserve them. That country deserves better. And I think that the best Nigerians, as far as I know, I think, maybe I'm biased, but I think the best Nigerians are the Nigerians overseas because we've been exposed, because traveling is the best education, and I think we have a lot to offer because we've learned from the 2 cultures. So I think Nigerians in the diaspora need to either go back or be active or proactive, but we need to take our country back. Now, I want to talk about Nigeria in a way that we don't often hear about. And, and I like the speech of His Excellency about Nigeria, what he said, and I want to continue from where he stopped. Normally I will have a different approach, but today I just feel like doing this. Talk to because I'm going to be 60 very soon. So some of us who are 60 and upward and above, we can tell the truth, and they will identify what I'm going to talk about today. But some new generation of Nigerians that we have, which are the majority now, we are the outgoing generation, but I need to leave this in history, and I need to let the new generation know the true picture of Nigeria, because we are talking about Nigeria in the past, present, and future. So I want to visit Nigeria's past. I want us to visit Nigeria's past, and I think people who are older will really understand this. Now, most people who are now saying and claiming that we have nothing to show for our 60 years as a nation, or 61 years as a nation, that is a waste, those are wasted years. That is what I want to address first of all. Are those wasted years that we have spent together as a nation, as an independent nation, 60 years or 100 years, is it a wasted time, a period of time? No. In fact, sometimes when you listen to Nigerians, you will think the worst things about this country. And you will think that this country has never achieved anything, and is that we are just a bunch of failure and a failed state. It's not difficult for you to hear Nigerians say things like, Nigeria cannot even produce an ordinary pencil. Have you heard something like that before? I have heard it many times, that Nigerian cannot even produce pencils. That's not true, of course. Maybe it's an exaggeration just to make a point, but, that is not true. Nigeria today produces automobiles. Nigeria today produces trucks. Nigeria of today produces cars. Nigeria of today produces helicopters. The Nigeria of today produces military wares. Nigeria of today produces ship, military ship as well. Nigeria of today produces pharmaceutical goods, agricultural goods, and even agricultural machinery. I can go on and on. Now, let's now visit our past. At independence, what did we have? Do you know that at independence, Nigeria's GDP, a lot of people used to talk, a lot of intellectuals, some of them are my friends, they will come and tell us that Nigeria was doing better than South Korea, which is true. At independence, it was doing better than Malaysia. It was doing better than Taiwan, and all this Singapore, doing better than Singapore. But look at those countries today. And they are right. But you see, half the truth is also as dangerous as no truth at all, as a total lie. Because yes, on one hand, at that point of independence, Nigeria was doing better. But there are a lot of factors that are responsible to them doing better. Yes, but let's just make that simple. Yes, we are doing worse than those countries now, and that is unfortunate. But if Nigeria had only had 4 million people, like Singapore, that is the other side of the coin that people don't tell you. For 60 years, 4 million people? I don't think Nigeria would have been doing worse than Singapore. But let's leave it at that. There are a lot of other things to look at. But let's just look at, just talk of Nigeria where we were at independence. At independence, Nigeria's GDP, or the whole of the economy, all those things they were telling you that let's do restructuring, let's go back to the regions. With the region will produce food for themselves. What were we producing? Palm oil, groundnut, all those things, stories you hear, groundnut, palm oil, they sustain the country. Well, all those things put together was only giving us $1 billion, 1 billion pounds, or $1 billion, they say. Why is it that people left them when oil boom came? Because they looked like chicken change. They were so petty and, so nothing. They were not sustainable. It was the oil that really brought real prosperity to Nigeria. But anyway, of course, we still need to go back to agriculture. But what I'm trying to say is that for people who are saying that we have achieved nothing, it's not true. Let me give you some statistics. And you need to remember these statistics or write it down if you can. Our GDP was $1 billion. What is our GDP today? Over $400 billion, almost actually over $500 billion. So let's say $500 billion from, even if you say $400 billion, from $1 billion in 60 years ago to 400 times or 500 times increase. That's 4,000%. No, 400,000, 400, what, how many? 4,000% or what? Of what? Anyway, 400 times more than we used to have 60 years ago. Now, is that good or bad? It depends on what you are using as your yardstick. Now, let's now take Britain that colonized us and gave us independence. At that same time, what was the economy of Britain that time? In 1960, when we were getting our independence and Britain gave us independence, we were having, remember that, $1 billion as our GDP. The GDP of Britain in 1960 was 73 billion pounds, 73 billion. So the GDP, Great Britain's economy was 73 times bigger than Nigeria's economy. We didn't stand a chance. But if we want to talk about America, for example, what was America's economy in 1960? America's economy in 1960 is like the same size that Nigeria's economy is now, $500 billion, $540-something billion in 1960. So the economy of US, if Britain's economy was bigger than ours 70 times, US economy was bigger than ours 500 and something times. We were backward, guys. We were back 60 years ago. I could remember, I was born after 1960, but even me growing up in the 60s, 70s, I could remember going around the village, and this is western part of Nigeria where people say they're a little bit advanced. So you could see people walking naked. I mean, I saw documentaries. I even know somebody, an American missionary who was in Nigeria in the 40s. He said everybody was naked. The whole place was a bush. The whole place was a bush. Let me continue. Now, let me even continue with the comparison. What is now, if the Nigerian economy today is 500 billion, what is the economy of United Kingdom today? United Kingdom's economy today is 2.7 billion. And our own is 500 billion. But our own 500 billion is not counting the, what do you call it? The non-official informal market, informal economy. If you count the formal economy in Nigeria, our economy will be 1 trillion economy. But let's count it as 500. That is about 5 times bigger than Nigerian economy. UK's economy now, today, 5 times bigger than that of Nigerian economy. But let's go back to what I said before. How many times bigger was the economy of UK to that of Nigeria when we got independence? 70-something times bigger. Now, 5 times bigger. Don't let us just keep on casting bad shadow on Nigeria. It's not all bad. And I'm going to prove that to you. We've made progress. Not as good as we want it to be. Not as good as that of Korea or Malaysia or Indonesia or Singapore. Not as good. Not near as good as our potential is. But for Christ's sake, stop talking evil of your country and only evil. Let's acknowledge the good too. Now, let me give you another information. Like even American economy, it was 500 times bigger than ours before. Now it's less than 50 times bigger. Just about 50 times bigger. But because we've made progress. But let's leave economy alone. Do you know how many universities we had when we got independence? How many universities? Only one. Nigeria only had one university. University of Ibadan. You know how many universities we have now? we have 200 universities. And if you count polytechnics, it's close to 500, everything together. That is progress. And it's not just universities. If you look at, you know how many doctors Nigeria had, including missionary doctors and UK doctors, because they were our colonizers at that time. So some of them remained after independence. You know at independence, how many doctors we had? Everybody together, including the foreigners. Everything put together, we only had 200 doctors in the whole of Nigeria. But today, one university of Unilag, is producing minimum 250 doctors every year. And we still have about 30 or so other universities producing almost similar number of doctors every year. You are in North America. Most of you are in North America. You know, of course, about Association of Nigerian Physicians in Northern America. The New York branch alone has 5,000 Nigerian doctors. Only in New York alone, Nigerian doctors, 5,000. This is the second highest group of physicians in the United States and UK. The only country that is beating us is India, both in America and in the UK. Apart from Indians, we have produced, even in abroad, we have more doctors than most countries in the world. Now, but that is starting from only 260 years ago. Now let's look at even Nigeria as a city. Do you know we didn't have any city? The only city we had that was a little bit somehow presentable, was Lagos at independence. Now, I know in the ancient days we had Benin City. Benin City was destroyed, they had wars. So at independence, we had, of course, Oyo, that was also destroyed because of war. But the real normal city that you could call a city was Lagos. But Lagos was like it was a glorified village. Even up to now, it's still a glorified village. But if you take just Lekki alone, today, Lekki right now, it was bush that time. Lekki now is ranked as the fastest, most developing estate in the whole world. Now, do you know that even at independence, let's take another sphere of life, for example. At independence, Nigeria never had one pilot. We didn't have one single Nigerian who was a pilot. It was only after independence we got our first pilot. But today, even Nigerians are training pilots, and internationally too. Nigeria was nowhere in the area of sports. But today, Nigeria has won in total 27 Olympic medals. One youth World Cup. Nigeria has presence. And you have Nigerian professionals everywhere, not just medical doctors. Nigerians, even myself, I'm here. I'm a black man. In this part of the world, it's like a wonder. The people never used to know that black man could do something, could teach white people and lead them. But it's happening. We're all over, in every area of life. Nigeria has done much better than we are thinking. But if we are only going to be talking about negative things, the Bible says that the power of life and death is in the power of the tongue. So if you are speaking negative things only, you are creating death. And I'm afraid too many Nigerians are speaking negative things about the country, bringing about a worsening situation, bringing about death, perpetual death on our nation. Instead of us to speak more positive things, not to deny the issues. We face our issues, but we also acknowledge our strength. In 60 years, we've been able to produce a Nobel laureate. We've been able to produce a winner of Pulitzer Award. And we have professionals, Nigerian professionals all over the world who are winning, awards. But even in Nigeria itself, Nigeria has been able to conduct some of the toughest surgeries in the world, even in Nigeria itself. Nigeria, they can do, maybe it's not a big thing to a lot of people, but Nigerians do IVR right now, organ transplant, and a lot of scientific things that even without all the kind of money that we need and with all the disadvantages and everything like that, we have a lot of them. But in 1960, even to drink water, drinking water was a problem. Most people were dying in Nigeria just out of poor hygiene when our country got independence. So for us, I'm not blaming it on.
Adelaja,
Okay,
Dr.
is my
Adelaja,
time up?
2 minutes. 2 minutes, sir. 2 more
Okay,
minutes.
is that 30 minutes
you.
already?
I think so.
Because 30 minutes is what I was told I have. If it is 30 minutes, I have a time here too. If it is 30 minutes, then it's not 2 minutes left. Unless you are going to count the time of the ambassador.
Okay, go ahead. Just telling you to.
Okay. I will be faster. Yeah. I will be faster.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank
no
you.
problem. So now death rate from hygiene is no more. Even before, if you take 1,000 Nigerian mothers who are giving birth, 300 of the children will die. 100 of the mothers will die. But the country has made progress. Not as good as we want, but we are not in that place that we thought we were before. It's not, the country is not as nearly as bad and horrible. If we could achieve, this much, at least so far, let's believe God that we'll be able to achieve something better in the future. Nigerian economy right now is the 25th largest economy in the world. There is no country that is younger than Nigeria that has such a big economy as Nigeria. Nigeria is the most successful country out of the newly independent countries in the 60s. No country that is the next one that is young as Nigeria, that is doing better than Nigeria, will have economy of we have an independence of about 100 years or 150 years. So things are not necessarily as bad as we are thinking. Nigerian economy is bigger than that of Ireland, where all Nigerians are running to. It's bigger than that of Israel, bigger than that of Norway, bigger than that of United Arab Emirates, bigger than Denmark, bigger than Malaysia, bigger than Singapore, bigger than Hong Kong economy, bigger than Finland, bigger than Romania, bigger than Ukraine, bigger than New Zealand economy, bigger than Greece economy, bigger than Hungarian, bigger than Austrian, bigger than Argentina economy. You can go on and on. But what are the problems of Nigeria? What are the problems of Nigeria the way I say it? And how could we resolve them? I think the biggest problem of Nigeria right now is the underdevelopment of our people. We don't have human capacity. We have done purely. Our people, our government have done poorly in developing our human capacity. Can you imagine that Nigeria is only 60% literate? Those are people who can read their native language. Not all of those 60% can even read English. So only 60% literate. That way, only half of the country is cut off in human capacity. So we need to develop our people. But even what is worse than that, what we lack in Nigeria, is lack of values. We don't have values. And national reorientation is the #1 assignment. What is the reason for kidnapping? Is the reason for Fulani herdsmen? Is the reason for banditry? Is the reason for Yahoo people? Is the reason for corruption? We need to reorient the people, our own people, and bring about national values that will be developed. And a way to do that, I will talk about that maybe in future somewhere else. Another problem that I see in Nigeria is the problem of unregulated population growth. Now, why is it that our economy is the largest in Africa, but our people are poor? We don't regulate our population. Nigerian government is not even thinking about that right now. But we need to do what China did if we want to have a greater future. As long as the population is growing faster than the economy, we are in crisis and we will perpetually be in crisis. Or we have to build our economy to grow 2 or 3 times faster than our population is growing. Another problem that I see that we have in Nigeria, if you want to call it restructuring, call it restructuring, but I call it reconstruction. We don't have respect for laws and orders. We don't have respect for law and order. Lack of law and order, that is our bane. If we all live in Europe or America, law and order is priority, is #1. If we could fix that problem for people to obey the law and rules, we will have a better country. Another problem I see in Nigeria is the lack of, we don't know who Nigerians are. Congolese can come today, Niger can come, Chad could come, carry guns and go and be killing and raping our people because we don't have order. No biometrics. I think one of the quickest things we have to do is to get every Nigerian registered biometrically, not just through paper writing. No, we need to take biometrics of everybody and know who Nigerians are. Right now it's a mess, a jungle. If we could put that in order, we'll be able to deal with issues of security and things like that. Next point that I see that we have in Nigeria is a problem of elite versus the poor. I think our biggest problem is that we are an elitist society. We are like a feudal society whereby, you know, the rich are rich over there and the poor are poor. We don't have middle ground. We don't have middle class. That has to be addressed if we want to build a more prosperous country. The next thing I think we must address in Nigeria is that we must stop, you know, seeking to break down our own country. Let us face our problem. Let us sit at the table, discuss our problems and resolve them, rather than talking about secessions and all those kind of things. Then finally, I think we need representative democracy in Nigeria. What we have right now is not democracy. I personally feel that no Nigerian should be asked to go to his local government or state of origin. I think we should just be Nigerians. You know, you can talk of a state of origin, but I think everybody we need to redefine the country in terms of, you know, other things rather than just what state you are coming from. Representative democracy that I mean is we need to get everybody represented. Even the illiterates must be represented in the parliament. The youth must be represented. Women must be represented, not just the people who are rich. Right now, it is only the rich that get to be elected and represent our country. So some of those things, all these things must be addressed to build a better country. I have much more things. I have always spoken about 10 points and I have about 30 of them. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Adelaja. You know, for journalists who are in broadcast media and pastors who deal with microphone, if you give them time to speak, it's always too short to accomplish that. But despite that, I want to say you are giving justice to the issues that you have enumerated. There's something I want to say. There's something that links me to Adelaja. Maybe, you know, I did my youth service in Imodi Moson in Ijebu. That was in the 80s. And you are from Ijebu. Maybe you know Imodi Moson.
Yes.
So I want to also appreciate that. We know we are confronting a kind of monster at the top. Perhaps, Dr. Adelaja, are you there? Perhaps I want you to interject here, Dr. Adelaja, because I know that you were part of the Orange Revolution in Ukraine. How did Ukraine give us an insight of how Ukrainians came about the Orange Revolution?
Yes, the same problem that Nigeria is facing now is what Ukraine was facing. The oligarchs, the few elites had taken over the country. They were running the country the way they wanted, and then they rigged the election. So people like myself and other public opinion leaders, you know, they stood against it. Our church alone took 10,000 people out to the street for 2 months. And, you know, people like that. So, but of course, before that happens, we need to be able to educate the populace, educate our people. I mean, and let them know that they are the owner of the power. They are the owner of the country. It's not the government that is the owner. But the way things are right now in Nigeria, as long as the electorate are waiting to get rice and bread from the campaigning politicians, that power, they are giving it away. They have been compromised. So when the populace is compromised like that in a large segment of them, then, you know, the politicians will keep on riding on them. So what we need to do is to have those people like those Lakey guys, the young, educated, progressive minds, to form a group. Like, for example, I personally, our church, we formed 3,000 groups registered. 600 of them were registered, but others were not registered. But we had 3,000 social pressure groups sent across the nation to sensitize the country and to mobilize the nation. So we must have people who are ready to put their life and their comfort on the line, just like the Lakey youth did, and organize. We have to pay the price of organization. Somebody has to be able to pay that price. Talking. That is the specialty of Nigerians. They can talk. But we need people who will be organized enough to put structures. What are the politicians? What is their age? The politicians are winning in Nigeria, the corrupt politicians, because they have organized criminality. They are organized. But we need righteousness as well to be organized. We need to organize justice. We need to organize equity. If we just talk, and we don't have people who are ready to pay the price of organization, pay the price of structure, systems, we will never get anywhere. We'll just be talking, and they will be riding on us.
In that setup, Dr. Adelaja, you said, this is what I'm talking about. People don't seem to understand me. Perhaps maybe I will speak my local language so that people will understand me. You see, the truth about the matter is economic factors will come later. We can perfect our economic system, but the political system must have to be in place to enable economic progress. That's what I keep saying. Our people must possess the power. In Nigeria, we have been talking about these politicians having this criminal gang, and they have the wherewithal, the fund, they have the power to continue like that. If we don't dismantle it, we are not going anywhere. That's my position.